Jason, I have a question with that, with what we're talking about with him.
Yeah.
Because I can relate different circumstances, different word, but similar type of like struggle with that. And you brought up the fact that you said that's that religious part of our conditioning. I think is what you said.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at what I became aware of some stuff over the weekend with me is that in that struggle of that goes back to that trying to do it right, like a certain right way or something to accumulate. I don't want to use the word accumulate, to do it right versus, and then, but it's not right like in a sense of true, it's right based off some type of expectation, right? And
A responsibility, as Eckhart Tolle would call it, responsibility is it Eckhart? No, what's his name?
Watts?
No. The Oprah guy, the guy that we watched last.
Paul something.
William Paul something.
Some name
Whatever.
JP.
He talks about responsibility coming from the outside, meaning it's a perceived or given responsibility from outside of you, not inside of you. And so doing it right is a responsibility, whether you've placed it on yourself or whether a particular program has placed it on you, religion, politics, schooling, whatever it is, where you then assume this thing that is not you. And then you try to be from that place. And so you can't. See, because when we talk about knowing who you are, and where you came from, in that, I would always say that the responsibility reveals itself. And then after listening to this guy and the way he kind of talked about some of this stuff, it made me change, not necessarily change my mind, but just expand my mind, unfold into some areas in which I haven't thought of before. But that very thing that reveals itself in the moment, in this moment in time, when you know who you are, where you came from, is you. It is the Gary V today. I don't know if you watched it, 10-minute video. He says, I just got the goosebumps too, like crazy. He says, if everything was going to be okay, like everything was going to be okay, finances, everything in your life, what would you do today? And in whoever he's talking to says something like, I don't know, watch a movie. Normally you'd expect Gary Vee to then get his machete out and cut his head off. But he didn't. He said, that's what you need to build a business around. Because that is the truest form of who you are. And so when I was listening to him, I was hearing him in my own words. And for me, that is knowing who you are, and where you came from. And when you know those things, everything is okay. You know everything's okay. It's just like the other day when I keep saying Kanye, Daniel, Sean, responded to meditation that way. In that moment in time, you had no fear. In that moment in time, every need was met. You knew who you were. You knew where you were. You knew where you came from. And you were just simply free at that very moment in time. It was the best way to describe it. So when you know these things and you are in that place, for me it's like when everything's firing and rewiring and I'm riding the quantum wave. That is who I am. And when I stay there, I'm able to be who I am. The minute I put on responsibility is the minute I become something else. Because that responsibility is from here, which is not here. And if it's from here, it's also from here, which means outside of here. So it could be job, it could be religion, it could be politics, it could be TV, it could be whatever. And so what I have to know in that moment is that anything that I add to this moment in time, using that, is suffering. It's lack. Because responsibility means lack. And when we are in lack, we operate from a different place than we do when we are in abundance. And so we've been given everything in which we need for this current moment in time to be. And if that is truth, authentic truth, and we're able to communicate that to ourselves, we simply are. The minute we look outside of that is the minute we are not. Because we're going backwards in time or we're going forwards in time. And so that's why meditation is so important. Mindfulness, awareness, all these things, it's forcing you to get in this place where you have no distraction. And it's forcing you to listen to yourself, to get to know who you are. Well, who are you? Well, at your core, you are life. And for you to be life, you need to breathe life. And so to know yourself because of your breath, and to get to know that like you know nothing else, is getting to know who you are in a way in which no one other than yourself and your maker will ever know you. It's stripping responsibility, environment, programming. It's getting rid of it all. And you're going back to this place where you were in the womb, where this process started. And it's just removing that distraction. And so in that is heartbeat. Heartbeat is breath. Because you were breathing when you were born. You were breathing. Your heart was beating before you had a brain. So it's like closing the funnel and making you remember who you are and where you came from. And in that, there is no cynicism. So that's the importance of that. And the repetition of it and forcing yourself to do it over and over and over again. And one's inability to do that and make that the most important thing in their life simply is the body saying that I'm addicted to the old story. And so that's why Dr. Joe says, yeah, I know. Did you do the fucking work? Yeah, oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I know the politics and your aunt died and this is going on. I know. Did you do the work?